Well, hello again. Welcome back to the Alan Hudson podcast. Thanks very much for joining us. We've got another great guest for you today. It is, of course, John Burridge. John played he played a remarkable career. John had. He played for 29 clubs, would you believe? 18 in the old
and
Football League.
They all paid me. I was a bugger for money.
A 30-year professional career, remarkable career. John, thanks very much for joining us.
No problem. I'm sitting in the sun here in Muscat. Oh man, fantastic. I couldn't be living in England like you lot with big jumpers on the course. No way. I love it out here. Fantastic.
Well, it looks a pretty picture. How long have you been in Oman?
32 years.
And have you really?
Yeah, 32 years. And you know, I'm famous in Oman because I produced a goalkeeper called Alan Hudson, who played for Bolton and Reading. You know, he played about 400 games in the Premier League. And I produced him. And it was a big thing for Oman. You know, a big thing, and still is a big thing for Oman. If I could work again, Alan, I'd do the same again because there's some bloody great players here. There's some fantastic. They love football. They live football. But when you're a coach, you know, it's totally different. Everybody thinks about it. Oh, you got to do this, you got to do that. What you've got to do is produce a player that can play in the Premier League, because that makes the country famous, and it makes the country's national team bigger, better. You know, that's what you've got to do. You've got to go play Premier League football. You know, that's what I did.
You haven't had Peter Shilton out there with you, have you?
No. I'm better than him.
You invited him out to stay with you?
No. I don't think Peter would like this place. This is why I look like this at 74. It's because, you know, seriously, I'm not joking. This is the truth. When you finish a game of football, or you live in England, or you have a job, you go out at dinner time. Everybody, let's go down the pub. Let's go down the pub. There's no pubs here. You know, you can drink. There is no pubs here. Serious. You can drink.
Yeah, no, I was just going to invite myself, but now you said that, no point.
Yeah, you can go out, but you know, if you want to pay a fortune, you know, on beer, come to Oman. You know, you get the sunshine, you get the peace. It's very safe, but you can have a drink, you can have a beer, but no. That's what I look like. This. That's why I'm going to. Right after this, I'm going to play football on the beach. So it's fantastic. It's a fantastic life.
Well, let's talk a bit about your career then, Budgie. Budgie was obviously the name everyone gave you. You not many people called you John. They called you Budgie, didn't they?
I was a good talker, and a very good talker. I could rap on a defence, so that's why I got the name Budgie.
Do you mean was you a good talker, or was you just talked a lot?
No, I was good. Like I said, Terry Venables. I was always a good goalkeeper stops it before it starts. You know, if you can put people in the positions that you want, and you know, Terry Venables showed me a tactic. You know, that kept clean sheets, and I was studying it, and I was sat talking to Venice for hours, and I said, okay, I'll do it. You know, and if anybody was out of position, like Jim Cannon or Billy Gilbert, you know, Kenny Sands, were all out of position. Hey, you, get in there. It was always a good shouter, and I never. Sometimes I didn't have a lot to do because I was killing it before it started, and that's what a good goalkeeper is. You have to kill it before it starts. You know, right. you have to make saves, obviously, and you have to be brave. And I tell you what, and I'll come on to it later on in the show, because goalkeepers nowadays are not brave. Believe you me, Alan, they're not bloody brave. They're shitbags.
They
You know
go
what?
down with
I'm
their
not
feet.
joking.
Well, you used to go down hands
Oh,
first.
hands first. Put your face in. That's why my nose is like it is. It was broken 14 times. Getting the bust in, somebody smashing the ball in your bloody face.
It
You know,
suits you, though,
now,
mate. It suits you.
I'm still a good looking fella. You know, because I don't drink. I'm not drinking here. I'm drinking 1, 2 San Miguel's at weekend, and that's it. You know, but you know the goal is now, and the way the bloody game's gone, Alan, it's driving me mad. You know the way goalkeepers are pissing about in the 2 6 yard boxes and losing it, and the ball's ending up in the back of the net. It happens every bloody week. You know, and I think if I did that, that's my last bloody game for the club. Serious. You know,
Yeah,
you've
yeah,
seen it.
yeah.
You've seen it. If a goalkeeper did that now, you know, football's gone. And you know what it is, Alan? You know what it is? It's people like bloody Guardiola, people like Sam Allardyce gets ridiculed for the long ball. But if you can get the ball from the defence to the defence to the shot on goal in less than 5 passes, you've got a better chance of scoring.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
that's his philosophy. But now it's pop, pop, pop. I've lost interest, Alan. I lost interest in bloody football. You know, and that's me dedicating John. But I look at it now and I think, come on, get the bloody ball forward. You know, being a midfield player, if you're pass, the team that was passing, you can get flipping 11 men behind the ball. It's hard to score. But if you can get a bloody good passer of the ball who can knock it forward to a forward runner and get a shot on goal in less than 5 passes, you have a better chance of scoring than you have.
And then, over there, do you do goalkeeping coaching or just coaching full stop?
Well, I'm a full badge coach. You know, I've done all my qualifications, everything. But being a goalkeeper, you know, I like to coach goalkeepers. Yeah, I like my position, you know. But sometimes I can tell right if it can be always. I get people. Oh, he's a great goalkeeper, and he's very agile. Blah blah blah, and then he bottles one, and then, you know, that's it. You know, if his head turns his bloody head away and comes out like one of these now sliding tackles, I think no, he can't. He shit himself. You know, I'm not having that, Alan. I can't. Goalkeepers are brave. You know, they're meant to get 14 times that's been broken. 14 times. You know, ball hit him in the face, elbows in the face. You know, nowadays, they just don't do it.
Did you love playing in goal that much that you would take all this punishment? Was it, you know?
Oh, I loved it. I still do.
Yeah,
Still
yeah.
do. I keep trying to tell people I can still play. Serious. You know, my diet's still, you know, the same. I get up and I have onions and I have beetroot and, you know, all my 2 eggs. I have that, and then I have no dinner, and then steamed vegetables every night. Look, my diet's perfect. You know, I lift weights, you know, twice a week in my garden. I've got my garden here. I lift my weights, you know, every bloody week. You know, I go playing football on the beach, and you know, at 74 years old, I can still kick the shit out of them. You know, and I still do it. They're frightened of me. Oh, Budgie, oh.
Let's go back to 1975. You come round the hotel in Birmingham. Stoke were playing Birmingham. Can you remember you came round and you was looking for Peter Shilton? Did you find him? Can you remember that? Can you remember that night?
No.
Too many knocks on the head, John.
Yeah, correct. I can't remember it. No.
So many knocks.
It was my hero as a lad, Schultz. You know, he was about 3 years older than me.
Yeah.
He was a great goalkeeper. Great goalkeeper. But,
Did you have anything to do with him? Did you sit down and talk to him? And
Oh yeah, I used to go to his house. I used to go to his house when he lived in Stoke. You know, and I was playing for Aston Villa, and I was travelling up to Blackpool to see my wife. You know, I used to pop in there and have a cup of tea and a chat. You know, with Schultz every now and again. Yeah, he was a nice fella to me. He was a good goalkeeper, and he encouraged me a lot.
Did you learn anything off him though?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I learned dedication. Dedication. When he was playing, he was a very, very dedicated player, and I learned how to dedicate myself, you know, to the game and extra training and everything like that. Yeah, he was a great goalkeeper. Don't people are trying to hammer him now, you know, because he likes a pint. You know, I'll never hammer.
He's always liked a pint, mate. He's a secret drinker, Peter. But
yeah.
If you was to, I'm surprised you never had Gordon Banks as your main man, you know.
Yeah, coaches, you mean? Yeah, Banksy was another great goalkeeper. Another great goalkeeper who was one of my heroes when I was. They're a lot older than me. Schultz was about 3 years older than me, 3 or 4 years older than me. Banksy maybe like, you know, 10 years older than me. You know, but Gordon Banks was a great keeper as well. You know, and they were brave. You know, they were brave. They weren't shit houses, you know, like I see nowadays. You know, seriously, Alan, I'm not joking.
No, I'm smiling. But how would you compare? How would you compare Shilton with Peter Schmeichel?
Schmeichel was a good keeper, you know, but he's not nowadays keeper. He was a good goalkeeper, Schmeichel, you know, but you know, Shilton was a better goalkeeper. He was a better technical goalkeeper because he worked at it. You know, Schmeichel was more of an outfield player. He stopped a lot with his legs. You know, but I admire. Don't get me down. I'm not getting on Schmeichel. I think he was a good goalkeeper, but Shilton was better. You know, technically, in my opinion. You know, and as a young lad growing up, Shilton was always my hero. You know, because we looked the same. We had the same build. You know, and you know, in these days, it was like you've got to be 6'6" to be a goalkeeper. Blah blah blah. In them days, he didn't.
Tell me something, John. When you was at school, was when you decided to go in goal? Do you want to be a goalkeeper from a young age?
Well, I was brought up very poor. You know, I was brought up in a mining village, very close to Workington, and we had nothing. My dad was beering it all the time. He used to come in and batter my mum. You know, the bringing up was very, very, you know, strange. Let's put it like that, strange. In the way that my dad wasn't the best dad in the world, you know, but he wanted me to play rugby because I was a bloody good rugby player as well. I played for the town. I played for Workington in goal, and I played rugby for them as well, you know, at under 15 level. And I was going to Workington Reds training every Tuesday and Thursday night. I was going down there to train with the amateurs after school. And Bobby Brown came to me and he said, when you're leaving school, I said, next summer holidays, he said, okay, we want you to sign on as an apprentice. You know, and I went to my dad and said, I was trousers punched, and I went to my dad and said, I'm going to sign for Workington but he wanted me to go down the pit, like he was. He wanted me to go down the mine because it was £20 a week in the pit, you know, and I could make £5 a week, you know, at Workington Reds playing. And I wanted, and he said, John, you're not going, you're not going to be a professional football player. You know, go and play rugby for Workington because he had contacts in Workington rugby league team. And and it was Newport County at home. And I was, going down to do my jobs. I was, 11 o'clock in the morning, Saturday morning, and Bobby Brown had a phone call saying Mike Rogan's not well, he can't play, he's not coming in. And he called me up and he says, "You're playing this afternoon?" I've just done the boots. I've just done the blooming, sweeping up. I've cut the field and marked the field out. And I'm told at 12 o'clock, at 3 o'clock, you're playing against Newport County. And, I'm okay, all right, I'm ready. So out we go, Newport County. First corner, in swinging ball. I should have come for it. And the kid's just coming on near post and bomb. Well, I have never seen anything, like it, because the centre half, the fullback, John Ogilvie, Jimmy Lumsden, you get him, punch him in the face. Punch him in the bloody face. He's 1-0 bloody down because of you. Well, we got an equaliser before half time. Got the second goal in the second half. And it was 3-1. So we won my first game. And on Tuesday night, we had Stockport County away. And they were top of the league. And he had no option but play me, So I was going there, and I had a flipping blinder. An absolute blinder. 1-0 win. He had to play me the third game, and I went there 35 games. 35 games on the bounce. And then next thing I know, Bobby Stokoe came in for me to go to Blackpool. And
Budgie, would Blackpool have been in the first division then?
First division.
Yeah.
First division. They were right at the bottom, and, I didn't know where Everton was. Seriously, I didn't know where it. I got to, Bobby Stokoe drove me down, to Blackpool, put me in the digs on Wednesday, and I trained with the lads on Thursday. I didn't know any of the names. There was John Craven and Alan Suddick and Tony Green. They were good players, and I didn't, know them all that much. So what happened was, I trained with them Thursday and I trained with them Friday, and then on Saturday morning I went down to the ground. I was getting on the bus to Everton. I didn't know it was in Liverpool. Honestly, I didn't know. I got down to Liverpool. I was so bloody, Joe Royal and Howard Kendall. But I didn't. It was a good thing because I didn't have a television at home and I didn't know these lads. I didn't know who they were. And serious. I went onto the field and ran out there. There was about 30,000 people in there. Big game. I had an absolute blinder. 0-0 draw. I pulled off about 5 or 6 unbelievable stops. I got, the people used to give you merit marks, 8 and 9 and 7, 6. I got 10 out of 10. Next day, and that next day, I was called in on Monday. He says, Bob Stokoe said, Budgie, John, that was fantastic. We're signing you. Whatever happens, we're signing you. I said, okay, all right, but what's my signing on fee? I remember I'm on £5 a week at Workington, £5 a week, apprentice professional. He said, your salary will be £250 a week. He said, you'll have £50 apprentice appearance money, and we'll give you £50,000 to sign on. Oh, bloody hell. I was, bloody, I'm going to get £50,000. And he said, yeah. And I give it Monday morning.
You was really the David Beckham of your day, weren't you?
Well, yeah, but playing in goal.
When did they get that kind of money to give you? Did you have a rich owner?
No, they were buying Tommy Hutchinson for 100,000 and places like that. You know what I mean? It wasn't a real lot of money. You know, they were paying nothing for me. You know, because I was apprentice professional and next. Yeah, it was an incredible. And we played Crystal Palace on a Tuesday night, 0-0 draw, another great game at Bloomfield Road, another great game. You know, and that was the end of the season, 3 games to go. And then we won, and then I signed, I got my money, and that summer we played, Blackpool played in what they call the Anglo-Italian Cup. Can you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, Anglo-Italian Cup. And we won it. We went and won it. You know, we went and won the bloody thing in Bologna. And we won it. We beat Roma in the final. You know, so it was a big thing for me, you know, that. You know, that I had a fantastic start to me first division. Blackpool had gone down. They couldn't, when I joined, they couldn't go down, but it was better for me because I was playing second division. You know, I might have been found out a little bit if they had. I went to second division. I had a brilliant season the following season, and you know, next thing it was called into the manager's office and Aston Villa want you. Tried to go and see Ron Saunders, best manager I've ever played for.
Yeah,
honestly. It wouldn't let me train the way wouldn't let me train the way because I used to put my own training together. There was no goalkeeper coaches then. There was no goalkeeper coaches, no nothing. You know, it was you know, you and your dedication doing the thing. So I had that's what I did. I put my own routine together. And the people think I'm crazy, but I used to go to the gym. You know, there was no gyms then. You know, there was no gyms. They were for boxers and bouncers. You know, there was no football players went to gyms then. Nobody, but you know this. There was no gyms. Football players didn't go to gyms. They didn't need the body. You know, but I started going to the gym. I started coming back twice a day on Tuesday, Monday, resting Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, playing on Saturday. You know, that was my routine. Nobody would get me out of the house on Thursday only for training. I'd come back, get in bed, get up, following day, do a few sprints. You know, Friday. That was it.
Budgie,
I was so.
Can I just prompt you a bit, because you did before the podcast, before we started recording today, you were telling me how important you mentioned that Anglo-Italian Cup and playing against Bologna, and you saw the Italians preparing for games, and that sort of changed your mindset, didn't it?
Yeah. You'll remember this, Alan. You know, when you came in at 2:00, an hour before kickoff. If it was a 3:00 kickoff, you came in 2:00, and you'd wait, you know, till 2:45 to 3 before you started putting your kit on. Well, when I went to Bologna, I seen these lads going out, you know, an hour before the game, the players, and me, I thought, I'm going to do that. I'm, you know, when I get back to England, I'm going to do it. So next season, you know, I started coming out before the players. The kit man used to come out with me. None of the players were ready yet. At 2:15, but I was a good gymnast. I could do somersaults and everything, you know. And I came out and done a couple of laps and done a few somersaults, and everybody thought it was a nutcase. Everybody thought, this kid, yeah, but you did, Alan, when you first you seen it.
Well, I was a
bloody nutcase. No, seriously.
No,
People
I'm
think,
being serious as well. But I couldn't do them backflips and all that and handstands.
No, but I could, and I was doing somersaults, and then Dave Warner did a few shots, and do throw crosses, and gradually I seen players coming out. I was the first one ever come out on the football field and start warming up. Me, on my own, and people used to think, oh, is that bloody show, man? Oh, is this, that, and it wasn't. I was getting myself ready and acclimatized to the weather and the speed of the ball bouncing off the surfaces and stuff, before they came out. And some of the goalkeepers made it 2 or 3 minutes the first shot flying into the bloody net. I was ready. And I would do it. And people used to ridicule me. They used to hammer me. Oh, he's a bloody nutcase. Oh, he's a bloody showman. I wasn't. I was professional. And, people started coming out doing that. The following season, they started coming out. So I was the first one again.
Who, looking back, how many times did you play against George Best?
About three times.
Do you ever come into contact with him? Go one-on-ones?
Never. Oh, yeah. My last game for Blackpool, I told you I played 3 games for me on loan before I went there. Everton was my first one. Crystal Palace was my second one. And the third one was Manchester United at Bluefield Road. And Bestie was playing, and, it was ridiculous. I'm stood, you've been to Blackpool when you come up and you get off the bus and you come in to the last dressing room. We're playing Manchester United. And he's Budgie going to play against him in an hour. I've got my blooming, autograph book. George, would you sign this for me? Yeah. Bobby Charlton, would you sign this for me? It was ridiculous. I was stood in the tunnel, waiting for them coming in the suits, so I could get their autograph. He was a great player, Bestie. Some of the things that he would do is past. The problem with him is...
Have you had the honour to him to let a goal against George? Did he beat you?
No. Last
good
game,
record.
1-1 draw. 1-1 draw. My first game against him. He got through twice. He got through, and I threw myself at him, blocked it on my body, and he had a shot, and I took the piss, boom, he came straight at me, and I was, took my cigarette out, and the crowd loved it. The crowd absolutely loved it when I did that. It was great. It was great. But Bestie was a super player, and like Bobby Charlton was in them days, Al. In them days, they were great players. They were super players. Nowadays, I find it very difficult to watch football now. I really do, because nobody bloody tackles. Nobody runs. I never see a midfield player running by the forwards. And I'm to be honest, I get sick of it. And it's all about the Pep Guardiola's coming into this Thomas Tuchel, the England bloody team. How does he get the England bloody team? Have we not got a good manager? We're cutting our own throats, doing that. You putting a blooming German in charge of the England team. It's ridiculous. Have we not got any managers? They're cutting the managers' throats now. English managers are cutting the throats. It's ridiculous.
We've had them all, John. We've had them all. We've had all the managers, but it seems whoever we have, it's been that long since 1966, isn't it?
Yeah, but they ridicule, they come ridicule the blooming long ball. You know, Sam Allardyce. You know, Sam Allardyce he's never been in charge of a big club. He's always been at people like Bolton's, people like that. You know, he's got to be one of the best managers, getting the best out of him. He doesn't spend bloody millions. These Spaniards come in and spend absolute bloody millions. And they get them relegated. No, I'm not having it. I'm not having it. Thomas Tuchel, the English bloody manager of the national team, and he's bloody German. Come on. You know, if we can't get a national team manager out of all the players that have played, it's not right. It's not right. It isn't bloody right. Somebody's
yeah, there's a lot to be said for that. Did you played in the England under 23s, didn't you?
Under 20, twice, yeah, twice.
And who was manager then, Al?
Oh, I can't remember. It was Benners.
No, that would be Alf Ramsey, surely.
No, can't remember. It was too far back. 74, you know.
Well, so am I, but I can remember. But I haven't been hit on the head that many times. But Venables was 96, wasn't he? Well, you know.
I can't remember. I've lived here 33 years. You know, forgot all the English football. It's difficult for me to watch it now. You know, the way it's going. You know, the way that managers are.
And who you coaching, John? Who are you coaching?
Well, I'm not coaching anybody at the moment.
But who were you coaching?
Oman. I've coached in Singapore. I've coached in Dubai. I've coached in India. I love this part of the world where you see the sun shining. You know, I'm sat here. I like the sunshine. I like retiring in the sun.
Sun shining outside my window.
Yeah. Serious,
Budgie, can I just explore your relationship with Terry Venables a bit more? Because, I mean, you played for lots of, I mean, as I said earlier, you played for 29 clubs, a remarkable career. You played for Aston Villa, Wolves, Newcastle, Man City. But you were telling me earlier that it was your time at Palace you enjoyed the most because of your relationship with Terry Venables.
Oh, fantastic.
Coffee time.
Okay. Tony, he was the best coach that I ever went with because he was revolutionary. He didn't mind changing the game, you know, as long as you won. And we played football at Palace. We played out the back. But you know, he was one that would let me play and train the way that I wanted to do it. No other managers wanted to do that. They wanted to rule you. And me, I was totally different. I was, you know, I wanted to train myself. I knew what I had to do. You know I had to build myself up. I wasn't the tallest. I was only 6 foot. I was big. I was strong, and I would hit people. You know, but nowadays it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen, Tony.
So what
Venables?
Other clubs?
Venables,
what were other managers? Did they actually try and stop you from going out early to prepare 45 minutes before the game?
Yeah, they tried to stop me. You know, what are you doing this before? You're going to wear yourself out. What if you get injured? They won't get injured. You know, and they tried to stop me. They tried to stop me training. And Alan will know my reputation is training. Everybody will tell you, you know, at Crystal Palace, Aston Villa, I always came back in the afternoons and I was always pestering managers for somebody to hit shots at me across the ball. You know, if I wasn't in, I made my own gyms at Aston Villa. You know, we didn't have a gym. I made my own with concrete bars, you know, because I had to build myself up. I had to be stronger than everybody else. That was my game. That was my dedication. When I went to Crystal Palace, I said, I need to go to the gym. He paid my receipts, so I could get into Crystal Palace Sports Centre, and use the gym there for the weightlifters. Nobody lifted weights in them days. Nobody, only me. And now everybody has a gym. Every club has a gym, and everybody goes to the gym. And there's another thing. People laugh at me for this. I was going in the coach. Going in the coach from the hotel to the game, and I went to. I was very nervous before games when I was young, and I spent £700, to go and see, an hypnotist. Um, you might have heard about this, an hypnotist. And I went there, and he would put his finger on my head and he'd say, "John, I'm going to count to 10. Count me down, 1, 2, right, all the way down to 10." And then he'd say, "You're coming out of the tunnel." This is not a joke. This is the truth. You're coming out the tunnel. The crosses come over. You're coming out. You've beaten the centre forward, and he would mention Joe Royals, and he mentioned Andy Grays, and he mentioned these bloody idiots that banged you all over the place. You've won the battle. You've won the battle, and he used to calm me down. Seriously. You see, I'm not joking here. The hypnotist made me feel like I was unbeatable.
Who was the toughest centre forward you played against?
Oh, you put me on the spot now. There's Joe Royals, there's Andy Grays, there's David Swindlehurst.
Peter Osgood.
Peter Osgood, yeah, but he was a bit before me. I played against him as a young lad, but he wasn't the one that threw his elbows about.
Did you play against Andy Lockhead?
Andy Lockhead, yes, I did. Again, the hypnotist helped me to. If you're going into the game and you're frightened of these guys, people are telling you, the manager's telling you, be careful because he throws his elbows about. If you go into the game thinking like that, you've got to go into the game thinking, I had a big bump, crosses coming in from the right. I should practice. I had two young apprentices with bags, big, padded bags, and then I come in and jump off my left and hit him in the guts with the right. Or if it's coming in from the left wing, I jump off my right, hit him with my left knee. And I was practicing, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it when the ball came over and I got me jump right, and the striker came in and bang, I hit him with my knee, and I could, oh, dirty bastard, I still love that. I used to, I was pat him on the head and say, "All right, son, you won't come in there again, you idiot," which was great, and that was only practice, and that was me inventing the big bag on the, so coming on, boom, and I practiced punching. People used to say, "Catch it, don't punch it." Can you remember them? Them days, you can punch it, but some you have to bloody punch. You can't, when you're coming in two or three, 4, 5 bunches of players, you've got to bloody punch it. And you got up, knees out, pushing them out the way with your knee, momentum, bump, and put, if it's coming in from the right, the left, elbows on the right shoulder, bump. So I used to practice and practice and practice every. He'll tell you, Tone, the stories about me practicing.
Did you have to
it was
do
all,
it? Did you ever have a punch bag? Did you use a punch bag? No.
no,
When you
I
went to
punched
these
the ball.
boxing
Punched the ball,
gymnasiums?
I just threw the ball up, boom. And if I could punch it to the halfway line, I was happy.
Really?
That, yeah. And if I could make if I could make the striker scream, I was happy. Because I wasn't getting injured because my knees were up. My knees were up, and I was practicing all the time to do it. And put him in hospital if I had to. And that was it. That was the game in them days.
Yeah, yeah.
That was it. That was a game.
Well, I do know. Back in the late 60s and early 70s, goalkeepers. I mean, today it's a bit of a. I watched the game last night. They all bundle in on you now. But years ago, what Tony just mentioned, people like Tony Lockhead. Andy Lockhead. He was as tough as anyone's ever seen. I mean,
everybody had one. Everybody had a maniac up front, and his job was to upset the striker, the centre back, and upset the goalkeeper. That was his job, not to score goals. He had a Jimmy Greaves or a Dennis Law who would always be round about him. The big lad would go in, elbow in the goalkeeper's face, and the knees and his body in the strikers in the centre half feet, ball would drop. People like Dennis Law, people like Jimmy Greaves would sweep it all up, put it into the back of the net. They knew where you remember these guys?
Yeah.
Everybody had one. They worked in pairs. One, the striker hit you, Jimmy Greaves would knock it in the net. Nowadays they don't have that. The system.
Sorry, John, you're talking about centre forwards, but I remember at Stoke when Shilton was at Stoke.
Yeah.
Our defenders used to talk about him coming out, and he didn't like crosses too much, but would you hit there was a time when you hit your own centre halves and punch them instead?
Oh yeah. But you don't care as long as you got the ball away. Get the bloody ball away. Nowadays, I speak to coaches and they say about goalkeepers, he's very good at playing out the back. That's all I hear these days. He's good at playing out the back. Your job as a goalkeeper is to keep a bloody clean sheet. That's your job. Is that right?
No matter how you do it, that is your job, yeah.
It doesn't matter. That's your job. Coming off 0-0, 1-0, 2-0. Your job. If you're 3 and 4-0 up, and it goes in the back of your net, you're disappointed. You don't let them. You don't let them score a goal.
Yeah.
Your job is
Was there ever a time where Cloughie wanted to sign? You ever come across Brian Clough?
I don't think I could play for Brian Clough.
He signed Shilton. You're the same kind of goalkeeper as Shilton, only a little bit nuttier.
Yeah, but I don't. Cloughie was, is a big dominant. He would probably try to take my game off me, like Bob Stokoe did, and God bless him. He would try to take the game off me. I had a certain way of playing, and I had a certain way of training, and a certain way of living my life. That's seen me through 779 Premier League games. So, I don't think I could have played for Cloughie, even though.
No, I'm just thinking because some players he used to say, I wondered what your reaction would be like. We'd say because he'd come into training, they go, we'd walk his dog, and he asked his players to go and walk the dog for him instead of training. What would you say to that?
Piss off.
Piss off.
Piss off. I'm not a bloody dog trainer. I'm coming to play with you, and he can say what he wants. I used to have arguments with managers all the time. The only manager I didn't have arguments with was Venice. You know, I used to have managers, you know, really in Porterfield, Bobby Stokoe, Ron Saunders. I was arguing with them all the bloody time because they wouldn't let me train. You know, the way I wanted to train. They used to take it off me and I didn't like it.
But what I don't understand, you know, well, I do understand it, but was there managers you fell out that actually signed you, knew what you were like, they signed you, and then they tried to change you and still don't do that and don't do that?
No, I don't know. I never met
Or
many managers.
managers you fell out would come to the club when you were already there and thought, whoa, what we got
correct,
here?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
That was the one. You know, when
Yeah.
the managers who signed me got the sack, and then there was another manager who came in and tried to. I was always a bit of my own person, you know, my own lad, and you know, I wanted to do what I think I was best at. And managers who never played goal in their bloody lives, and I said that to Saunders. He was a striker. You know, I said that to Ron Saunders when he was trying to tell me any goal. I said, how many bloody games you played in goal? I don't tell you how to bloody score goals. You know, and Ron Saunders, he didn't like me, you know, and sent me off to Crystal Palace. You know, so it was I was always my own person.
Do you is there anything you'd ever change if you had to go all through it again? How would you change? Would you change anything in the way you live your life, prepared for games, or?
Don't think so.
No.
I would do it exactly the bloody same. You know, yeah. No, I was probably the most dedicated player that's ever played football in England. You know, people will tell you that. People who played with me, I'll always tell you that. You know, and I used to always look after the young lads like Kenny Sanson and people like that. I'd run them home. I used to give them money. You know, I was always dedicated. You know, very, very dedicated. In the way that you didn't go out getting pissed. You know, you rested up. You know, when times when you had to rest up as a football player, you have to rest up as well. Take your days off. And I used to plan my own. I used to plan my own system. And I like the managers like Terry Venables who would give me, as long as I was playing well, keeping clean sheets, he just let me do whatever I wanted. That was
you were renowned for those somersaults and cartwheels you used to do before the games. What age did you start doing those?
Oh, when I was 10. You know, when I was 10 years old, I seen a fella do it in the circus, and I thought, you know, I'm going to do that. I'm going to have one of them. You know, I started doing it off flipping chocolate boxes, you know, and tables and that, off it at first, and then I fell down on my head a few times, but I got it off. You know, I was breaking my bloody neck at times. But I got it off, and you know it was all right. I was doing gymnastics for Cumberland as well. You know, I was walking on my hands and doing somersaults and back somersaults. Yeah, great.
But it's great that you can look back all this time later, sitting in Oman, not have a regret, and know that you wouldn't have changed anything.
I'm a millionaire.
Yeah.
I'm a millionaire. You know, I'm a millionaire. Why should I regret anything? You know, I was always a bugger for money. Manager will tell you that. You know, if I won something, like I did at Crystal Palace, that's why I left Crystal Palace. I got 24 clean sheets in that season. You know, out of the second division, I was playing out of my bloody skin every week. My voice was shouting at people like Jim Cannon, Billy Gilbert, Kenny Sanson, Paul Inslewood, making my job easy. And then what happens? You know, we got promotion. And Terry Venables got a new 5-year contract. And then I walked in and I said, I want 100 grand signing on fee. And he said, you can't have it, 100,000. I said, yeah, I want double my wages as well. You know, and he says, I've taken you up. It's not only you, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, get yourself another bloody goalkeeper. You know, and so the season started. I was out of contract. I said, I'm not playing. I'm not playing. When you're out of contract, you do that. And he bought a guy called Paul Barron. And he made a mess of it. And, you know, Teddy Venables went to Queen's Park. They were in a big mess, second bottom of the league or something in the first division. And Paul Barron wasn't playing too well. The crowd were, you know, bring back Budgie, bring back Budgie. I didn't want to play. He wouldn't give me the money, you know. And I went up to. He called me and he said, Queen's Park Rangers want you. And 2 or 3 days before, he had moved to Queen's Park Rangers. You know, his first signing was me. You know, so, you know, he knows, he admitted I should have given him the money, and now I don't know if it wasn't him, or if it wasn't him, or it was the chairman. You know, I can't remember the chairman's name, Ray Bloy.
Ray Bloy would have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I don't know if it was the chairman or him. He wouldn't give us me 100 grand, but I got the 100 grand off Queen's Park Rangers. Thank you very much. That was another nice little car. Oh, brilliant. You know, so I was always a bugger for money if I didn't get what. If I did the job, getting like at Aston Villa, I won a League Cup that year. I went to Wembley and stopped a penalty with 3 minutes left. You know, at semi-final against QPR, and at semi-final, and at Arsenal ground, and I went in and said, "You're a bloody Wembley, you know, give me 100 grand." He said, "No way." I said, "I'll get yourself another goalie." You know, so I was always like that. You know, if you didn't give me if you didn't pay me, if I did the job, you didn't pay me, I'm off. I'm off.
Budgie, you were still playing in the Premier League at 43 for Manchester City, and
yeah.
How proud are you of the fact you're still to this day you're still the oldest player to have played in the Premier League?
John, I could still play now. With the body, I could still play now. You know, I am so. It's because I looked after myself, and you know, I could do it. 43, you know, I went back and I played non-league for 5 or 6 seasons, you know. But when I was playing for Manchester City, you know, Tony Coton got injured. I went on, and I kept my spot in the team, and we didn't go down. So I did the job again. You know, I didn't, but they wouldn't sign me because I was 43. Now nobody will give me a job now because I'm 74. Nobody will give me a job again now as a coach because I'm so bloody fit. I think I could still play. Serious, I'm not joking. If you put me in the match, you know, for a I don't think I could do the training like I did before, but I still think I can still play. I'm still agile enough. I'm still fit enough. My body's still going. So
why on earth did you leave England to go there?
Money. I'll tell you the truth. Yeah, money. Yeah. You know, Ian Porterfield. Can you remember Ian Porterfield?
Yeah, I do.
He was the coach. I got a phone call once. He said, "Budgie, what you doing?" He said, "I said I'm doing nothing." He said, "Would you like to come to Oman with me?" I says, "Where's Oman?" You know. He says it's near Dubai. Well, I'd heard about Dubai. I said, "I know about Dubai." He said, "Well, come on, the weather's lovely." I said, "Okay." put me a ticket on. So next thing I know, it was Manchester to Muscat, Oman Air. And I landed and, they picked me up and I've done great for this. What I did, I lifted the team always up. And then I told them when I first came, I'll produce you a Premier League football player. They laughed at me. From Oman. I said, yeah, from Oman. After 2 or 3 years working with them, I seen this kid playing for Derby, 3rd division. I asked for his name, put his name down, and I said, next time the national team come together, you're coming. Anna, that's Arabic. Me? I said, yeah, you're coming. So, his name was a guy called, you'll know him, because he played 454 Premier League games. He's called Ali Al Habsi. You know him?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know him? Ali Al Habsi played about 300 games for Premier League games for Bolton. And when I put his name down, I got the sack for this the first time. I put his name down, and the 3 directors wanted to have a word with me. He says, "Ron, you cannot bring Habsi to the national team." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because he's 16. He plays 3rd division. They will laugh at us." I said, "They've been laughing at you for the last flipping 20 years. He's going to be the best. He's going to be the head of football in Oman." He said, "No, you cannot." I said, "Okay, I resign." So I resigned because they wouldn't pay the plane fare to England. I had to pay the plane fare. Me, I paid the plane fare. And his career, he went to Bolton. I rang up Sam. He went to Bolton. He played maybe 100 games there, and then went to Wigan and played in the Premier League for Wigan Athletic for years. Fantastic goalkeeper. And I just resigned and they didn't give me back. Actually, I could have in this country. There's a lot of great players, because it's half European and it's half African. They're big, they're strong, they're fast, and the only thing that they need to learn in this country is mentality, because they haven't got the right mentality that the English lads do. Do you understand what I'm saying? The mentality of being a professional. It's not really professional here. But I look at the size of them, and I look at the speed of them, and I think, bloody hell, with the right training, you could play Premier League football. Oman should have maybe another 5 or 6 players playing Premier League football. There's some bloody great players here, believe me. There is. It's just that they haven't got somebody like me who's pushing them. You know what I mean? It's such a big world, and Oman's such a small country, footballing country. You've got to be pushing them to the forefront, and then they'll prove themselves if the coach teaches them the right mentality. And that's what it's all about, the right mentality. So,
well, listen, Budgie, it's been brilliant to listen to your story. You've entertained us royally for the last hour. Alan, have you got one final question for Budgie before we wrap up the podcast?
Well, I haven't got a question. All I can say is it's great to have you on, John, and
no problem. Anytime.
And know that you're well and living a good life. Because we're living in an era in England where we're losing a lot of our friends, especially you and I. We're at the same age. We lost Marvin Hinton in the week.
You can see them all.
Yeah, and we've had a bad couple of years here. So it's nice that you've gone out there and you're away from all this as you mentioned the word danger earlier on, you're away from all the dangers, and you're keeping yourself. All those years have kept you well. Anyway, you look good.
Oh, I feel fantastic.
I thought it was Julian Dix when I first put it on.
No, I love it here. I'm still young. I actually told you earlier on. I still think I could play. I really do think I could play.
I believe you.
If somebody wanted a goalkeeper for, 2 or 3 matches, I think I could, because I'm fit enough. I'm fit enough. I know the game. I know the game to keep the back four away from me, because it's that. As a goalkeeper, 80% of it's that. Shove them inside. Keep off me. And I won't let them fall back on me. You see, I don't know what the coaches are doing. They're probably Spaniards, like the managers brought in. Some of the coaches don't. The goalkeeper's biggest weapon is his mouth. Stopping before it starts. Keep away from me. Don't let them pass people backing on top of you, back on top of you. Don't need a little flick and it's in. But if you keep them well out of the box at all times, you're pushing the ball inside, you've got all of that space to come and get it. Or if he's going to head it, he's going to head it from 12 yards. But you've got a chance there.
Yeah. Listen, before this goes on air, Tony always puts his title on it. I think he might title this one "The Cuckoo's Nest," John. Because that's where you live, your own world. It was just totally different from any other,
Yeah, you're right. It's a lovely place. Oh man, it's a lovely place, and some fantastic football players here. Still. Yeah. If I went back to England, I would put another 3 or 4 of them but nowadays, Spaniards. They've taken over football because they can't beat us at their own, our game. So they were trying to play they're trying to play the Spanish game in England.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And if you flipping at the old 60, 70 striker, up there, flipping out of them. And the Peter Nicholases and Jimmy Cases and Graham Sounnesses of this world in midfield. You can't beat them.
Yeah,
you can't.
I agree.
Yeah, that was definitely a different era. All right, Budgie, look, we'll let you get back to the sunshine of Oman.
Yeah, see you later, alligator.
Thanks again.
Thanks for coming on.
Anytime. See you.